So many people wake up in the morning expecting to greet the day with a smile, but instead, their very first steps remind them of a painful truth. The ache in the knees, the stiffness in the hands, the way climbing out of bed feels like moving through wet cement. This is arthritis, and it steals more than comfort. It takes independence, joy, even the simple pleasure of holding a grandchild without pain. Here's the surprising part. While many blame aging alone, hidden in plain sight on your kitchen counter could be one of the culprits. Fruits, yes, fruits, the very foods we're told are nature's candy, can sometimes turn against you when arthritis is at play. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today we'll uncover the unexpected truth about 15 common fruits that may worsen your arthritis pain, and what you can do instead to reclaim freedom in your joints. When we talk about arthritis, most people imagine a condition caused by time alone, but the foods we eat shape the chemistry of our bodies every single day. And in many cases, those foods are quietly feeding the very fire we're trying to put out. Let's take a walk through 15 fruits you probably recognize and see how they might secretly be fueling inflammation. Mangoes, bright, juicy, and often a sign of summer sweetness. I once had a patient, Maria, who adored mango smoothies. She was 72, spry in spirit, but hobbled by morning stiffness. Every week she swore she was eating healthy, blending mangoes, thinking the vitamins were her ally. But her joints kept throbbing. Mangoes do contain valuable nutrients, like vitamin A for vision and vitamin C for immunity, but they also hide a payload of sugar. Imagine pouring syrup into an already inflamed joint. It spikes blood sugar, which in turn triggers the release of inflammatory messengers, like sending sparks into dry brush. For Maria, simply swapping mangoes for lower sugar berries reduced her morning swelling within weeks. Science backs this up. A 2018 study in Nutrients showed that high glycemic fruits can worsen markers of inflammation, particularly in those already struggling with chronic conditions. The truth is, mangoes aren't evil, but for arthritis, they can be wolves in tropical clothing. Pineapples. Exotic, spiky on the outside, golden and fragrant inside. You may have heard pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme studied for anti-inflammatory effects. That's true, and for some, it helps digestion. But here's the catch. Pineapple is also acidic and very high in sugar. I remember Samuel, a retired teacher who came to me puzzled. He had started eating pineapple daily after reading about bromelain's benefits online. Yet instead of relief, his knees swelled more after long walks. The problem wasn't just sugar. The fruit's acidity aggravated his sensitive tissues, almost like pouring lemon juice on a paper cut. Once he reduced pineapple to once a week and added more vegetables, he finally noticed the benefits of bromelain without the sugar overload. Moderation made the difference. Bananas, the symbol of quick energy, portable, soft, and often recommended for their potassium, which indeed supports muscle and heart health. But arthritis is a different battlefield. Bananas are starch-heavy, which breaks down quickly into sugar. For some people, this sugar rush fuels systemic inflammation. I recall Evelyn, a grandmother who loved slicing bananas over her morning oatmeal, but her hands swelled so much that even knitting became impossible. She reluctantly gave up her daily banana for a period, replacing it with blueberries. Her hands improved, and she could hold her knitting needles again. For her, bananas were like hidden culprits whispering pain into her joints. Cherries. Now here's an interesting twist. Cherries contain anthocyanins, plant compounds with real anti-inflammatory promise. You may even find studies praising cherries for joint pain relief. But, and this is crucial, the sugar content in cherries can outweigh the benefits, especially if eaten in large amounts. Think of it like a medicine wrapped in too much candy. A handful might soothe, but bowls of them, especially the sweet varieties, can fuel the very pain you're trying to fight. For arthritis, the dose and the individual response matter more than the general headline. Grapes, small, sweet, and often praised for their antioxidants, particularly resveratrol. But again, sugar is the hidden adversary. Grapes are nature's candy, and in large servings, they can trigger the same inflammatory pathways as sodas or desserts. I once advised a man named Harold, who loved snacking on a big bowl of grapes while watching baseball. He swore it was better than cookies, and in some ways it was, but his joint pain still worsened. Cutting down the grapes to a small handful and pairing them with nuts gave him the antioxidant benefits without the sugar spike, and his knees thanked him. Oranges. Who doesn't remember being told to drink orange juice for vitamin C? And vitamin C indeed helps build collagen, vital for joint tissue. But oranges are also acidic and sugary, and for many with arthritis, that combination stirs discomfort. Acid can irritate sensitive tissues, while sugar fuels systemic inflammation. Imagine throwing gasoline and vinegar on a smoldering fire. That's the effect for some. Switching from daily orange juice to an occasional slice with breakfast made a real difference for patients who were otherwise doing everything right. Lemons. Their tart freshness makes them seem harmless, even cleansing. They're packed with vitamin C and antioxidants, yes, but their citric acid can be sharp for arthritis sufferers. It's as if the acid sharpens the pain signal already echoing through the joints. Using lemon sparingly, such as a squeeze in water, may be fine, but drinking lemon water constantly or consuming lemons in excess can aggravate symptoms. Limes. Cousins of lemons, they carry the same story. Antioxidants, vitamin C, a refreshing bite, and a load of acidity. For sensitive joints, this is like salt in the wound. Some people notice no issue, others feel their knuckles flare after lime-heavy dishes. The body whispers its feedback if we pay attention. Tomatoes. Now here's a controversial one. Tomatoes are rich in lycopene, a strong antioxidant, but they belong to the nightshade family. Some people with arthritis, though not everyone, react badly to nightshades because of compounds like solanine. I had a patient, Dennis, who loved his tomato garden. Every summer his plates overflowed with fresh tomatoes, yet his arthritis flared worse in July than in December. It wasn't the weather alone. Cutting down on tomatoes eased his stiffness. For those sensitive to nightshades, tomatoes can be silent saboteurs, hiding under the banner of healthy vegetables. Apples. Crisp, refreshing, often the picture of health. An apple a day keeps the doctor away, except when sugar and fructose fan the flames of arthritis. Apples are high in natural sugars, and while they contain antioxidants like quercetin that fight inflammation, the balance can tip against you if eaten in abundance. For arthritis sufferers, moderation is again the golden rule. A few slices may comfort, but 3 apples a day might fuel the very storm you're trying to calm. Pomegranates. Jewel-like seeds bursting with antioxidants, praised for heart and joint health. But the sweetness can't be ignored. A whole pomegranate contains a hefty sugar load. In clinical studies, pomegranate extracts show anti-inflammatory benefits, but in practice, eating too many seeds can still worsen pain. A sprinkle on salad is a blessing. Eating them by the bowl may be a curse. Peaches, soft, juicy, and fragrant with summer. They contain vitamins A and C, both helpful, but their sugar is like hidden fuel for inflammation. I've seen patients enjoy peaches occasionally without issue, but when peaches became a daily indulgence, their arthritis worsened. Think of it as enjoying a sunset, beautiful in the right dose, overwhelming if stared at too long. Pears. Sweet, juicy, packed with fiber, yes, but the sugar is again the challenge. For some, pears are gentle on digestion, yet for those with arthritis, the sugar rush may be anything but gentle on the joints. Reducing portion size often makes the difference between pleasure and pain. Papayas. Exotic, golden orange, rich in vitamin C and papain, an enzyme thought to aid inflammation. Yet papayas, like mangoes, are high in sugar. It's the double-edged sword. Nutrients that could soothe, wrapped in sugar that inflames. For arthritis, this trade-off often leans toward harm. Watermelons, refreshing, hydrating, perfect for hot days. But behind that watery sweetness hides a high glycemic index, meaning it raises blood sugar quickly. For arthritis sufferers, that spike can feel like tossing gasoline onto glowing embers. A slice or two may cool you down, but making watermelon a daily habit often leaves joints hotter, not cooler. The common thread through these fruits is not that they are bad in themselves. They are gifts of nature, each with benefits. But for those living with arthritis, The balance tips more easily toward pain because of sugar, acidity, or specific compounds. The key is not absolute avoidance, but awareness, listening to your body, and learning where moderation must live. What we've uncovered together is not that fruit is your enemy, but that certain fruits can act like tricky guests at the table, offering a smile while secretly stirring trouble in your joints. Arthritis is already a demanding companion, and the foods you choose can either soothe or aggravate that relationship. The secret is paying attention. Keep a small journal, notice what sparks pain, and lean on lower sugar, less acidic options like berries, pears in moderation, or green apples. Your body is constantly sending messages. By listening, you become the author of your healing story. Living with arthritis does not mean surrendering your joy, your freedom, or your independence. It means learning the unique language of your body and choosing foods that calm rather than provoke its signals. If some of these 15 fruits have been adding fuel to your pain, remember, you have the power to shift the balance. Each small decision brings you closer to relief, to mornings without dread, to walks filled with possibility. I'm Dr. Brian, and here at Wellness Blueprint Over 50, I believe health is never beyond reach. Stay hopeful, stay curious, and always keep moving forward.